This is the Above Average Podcast, and you are listening because you want an above average life. Alright guys, welcome back to the Above Average Podcast, the podcast where we talk to above average people about their above average lives. Now today my guest is an interesting one because I'd heard of him long before I'd ever met him, which says a lot about the guy. So he's built himself quite a reputation as a photographer here in the Northeast, taking pictures of anything that's around him to models and in and out of some more intimate shoots. So please welcome Mr. Chris Harrison to the podcast. How are you doing, mate?
Good morning. I'm very well. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm loving the t-shirt as well, by the way.
Yes, thank you. I have a few of these. But,
for anyone that isn't watching, his t-shirt says "camera bastard," so we're straight in there with the swear words. We lasted probably about 15 seconds before we dropped the swear words.
I do tend to swear a lot.
Yeah,
I'm not
fine.
a very classy guy. So.
That's fine. I press explicit on the Spotify.
You might need to.
So take us back, mate. So you're originally from East Yorkshire. So what brought you to this end of this side of the country?
Yeah, born in Beverley, East Yorkshire, in and around Hull. In 1980, I came to visit my brother in university up here, and I just fell in love with the place. I thought this is somewhere I want to live.
Yeah.
And then summer '82, I wrote to all the record shops in Sunderland, Newcastle, Leeds, and York. See if anybody got any jobs. Nothing came back to me. Mm-hmm. And then the following year, November '82, forgetting. Oh, I'm an old man. I remember
sorry, man.
What it was. In November 1982, I got a phone call from the manager of Virgin Records in Eldon Square when I was there.
Yeah.
And she said, "Are you still interested?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Well, come for an interview." So I went for the interview and I didn't get the job. A lad called Chris got it, another Chris, who,
damn it, Chris,
funny enough, I'm still really good friends with. He got the job, but then in the April '83, she contacted me again, said, "Another job's come up, it's yours if you want it." So literally within the week I was here. I knew two people from Hull who were at uni up here to sort of say hello to and have a brief chat with.
Nice.
And I'm still in touch with them as well, one of them. And that was it, moved up. Took me about 3 months to settle. I wanted to go home through the whole time.
Yeah, a bit of homesickness.
But Newcastle's home now, so
yeah.
I've been here 40 years for crying out loud.
Nice. Well, you did the record shop for 17 years?
I worked at Virgin for 7 years.
Right.
And then obviously it turned to our price. Things weren't great under our price. Didn't enjoy it as much. And then I went to work for Pinnacle Records as a sales rep, who were an independent distribution company. Mm-hmm. And I did that for 17 years. Nice. Which was, it was just brilliant. What a great job to have.
Nice. So it took you up and down the country, didn't it? Took you everywhere.
Yeah, I worked, officially the Northeast, but I did go across to Dumfries, Carlisle. I did the Northwest briefly for a while. I did Preston and Blackburn and Burnley for some reason. And they realised actually it was just a ridiculous amount of time to get there, so they changed it around. Leeds, York, Hull, all that. Everything up Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, obviously, and a bit further up there was a couple in Morpeth and Hexham and places like that. But yeah, I loved it. For 14 years, it was just a brilliant job. 2 years as the record industry started to change a lot, and obviously supermarkets were selling records basically for the price the independents were buying them. So those 2 years weren't great, and then the last year was just, I didn't enjoy it. The last year
it was quiet, or just
it was going to hell. Yeah. Businesses were closing down left, right, and centre, and it just was hard. And then that's when they made redundancies.
And you took yours?
Yeah, I did. I thought 17 years, I've done my bit. I wasn't massively happy, so I thought, I'm going to be a taxi driver.
Nice.
Which I did that for 2 years. Quite enjoyed it because I love driving.
Yeah.
But hard work.
Yeah.
And I never had any money.
Yeah.
No matter how much you earn, you're constantly paying out.
Yeah, we think taxis are expensive, but the amount of outgoings that you also pay is ridiculous as well. But
you're looking at, even then it was like 300 quid before you actually earn any money.
Well, yeah, because you got to pay your rent. You rent the name out, don't you?
Petrol,
Yeah.
Everything. It was hard work.
Yeah.
And there's twice as many taxi drivers now as there was then.
Yeah.
And there's Uber and all the rest of it.
Uber must have killed the taxis.
Yeah,
to be
it can't
fair,
be great. Mind you, I probably can't say this, I don't know, but I won't use Uber ever again. I went from Gosforth to the hospital and back, and it cost me 25 quid.
Ouch.
And I'm like,
steep.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
So I've never used Uber since.
Yeah,
then.
I stopped using them as well. But in your time in the record company, you must have met some famous faces or some really cool people that you were like, ooh, hi.
Yeah.
any names you can drop?
Yeah. I've got photographic proof of Bjork, Kylie, Danny Minogue, I haven't got photograph proof of any of the others. Jason Donovan, he was actually a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Ian Gillan from Deep Purple.
Nice.
Oh God, it was just endless. I can't even remember now. We used to go to, we had a lot of parties in London and stuff, and people would come. Oh, Skunk and Nancy, Skin from Skunk and Nancy.
All right. Okay.
Who, if you know Skunk and Nancy's music, she's the sweetest, softest spoken person I've ever met. She was great. Oh God, there's just so many. I was there 17 years. It was just brilliant. It was a really, really good job.
How did you end up getting to meet them? Like, what was the conversations like that you had with these people?
Fairly normal. I'm not massively starstruck. Depends who it is. I have been starstruck in the past, but normally I'm all right. I met Kevin Keegan once, and I was just, all right, Kev.
You're right, Kev.
Nice. He was at the airport, and he was coming back. I was like, good holiday? He's like, yeah, thanks. And I was like, great. I met Kevin Keegan.
We're just like, oh, Kylie, come here, I love you, come here, pet.
Well, actually, there's a bit of truth in that, because I went up to her and I said, can I get a photograph taken with you? And she said, oh, no, because if you want one, everybody will want one. And I thought, okay, well, everybody probably will want one because you're incredibly famous.
Well, no matter whether you have one, Chris, or not, someone's going to want a picture with Kylie. Yeah.
Anyway, our security guy took the camera, went snap, and I thought, oh, that's not going to come out. Anyway, it's a brilliant photograph. I don't like shit, but she looks great.
You'll have to show us it. You still got it? You shows that after the show.
Oh,
show me after the show. Yeah. Interesting.
Phone,
yeah. Well, we might put it at the end of the episode as well if anyone's interested as well.
Yeah, cover me up because it's just an awful picture of a mullet and just really bad.
Oh, you had a mullet?
No facial hair either.
Oh, nice. When did you decide to shave your head? Because me and Chris both shaved our heads specifically for this episode. We wanted to look the shit for this, so we both tried to shave.
1995.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in America, in Texas, and I had long hair at the time, but I did the thing where you take the top bit and loop it round so it covers your bald patch.
Oh, so you bald from the crown, were you?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
You can see there. Right. So we were in Texas, and the humidity in that place was August. It was
I can imagine.
unbelievable. You just sweat.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got to get my hair cut. So I went, got my hair cut, still short. So it was that horrible ex-rockers long hair cut that they all seem to get when they decide to get their hair cut.
Yeah.
Got back to England, and my girlfriend at the time went, that's fucking ridiculous. You need to get it shaved. So I was like...
She went from all or nothing, really, didn't you? Yeah.
So it's been shaved ever since.
Nice.
The only time it grew was during lockdown, first lockdown, because obviously I couldn't get to a barber's.
Oh, do you not shave yourself?
I used to, but I always missed a bit at the back for some weird reason. Probably it's because I've got so many bloody ripples at the back of my head.
Mine's the same. I've got what we call a hot dog pack when I put my head back and it looks like a pack of hot dogs. But I always miss like on my crown because like obviously the hair comes out different ways. I always end up with it. But just that wasn't part of my questions either. I've just brought
So no, I live above a barber's, so
that's handy then. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So the one thing that you're obviously most known for is your photography, right? That's what I said. People like I'd heard of you and I'd seen you like on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. Oh well, no, sorry, I'd seen you work. I hadn't seen you. You're very much hidden from a lot of things. I think only recently I'd ever seen a photo of you.
Really?
Yeah, I'd only ever seen the photos that you took.
See, I'm all right. I know I'm an ugly bugger, but I don't actually mind having my photograph out there. It doesn't
but
bother
you obviously spend more time behind the camera than you do in front of you.
I did actually do a bit of modelling.
Really? When did you do that?
Modelling, sorry. I did it at Camis Camera Club. They needed somebody that they used to have these great nights. I think the Camera Club's still going. And I was like a redneck. I've got a pair of dungarees which don't fit me at the moment until I lose a bit more weight. And so I was in that, my long beard. I had my really longish beard at the time. Baseball cap, trucker cap. And I just got murdered by this model. So it was great fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And I was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta do that.
Pick me like one of your French girls, Jack.
So that was great fun. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm definitely behind the camera more often.
Yeah. Well, the funny story is you mentioned to me that you weren't really into cameras. You hadn't seen cameras much, but you were at a works night, a works do, weren't you?
Yeah.
And someone had a camera there. So tell me about that.
2005, I think it was Christmas 2005, and Pete from Manchester was in a group, and everybody was looking around. And I was like, "What the hell's going on over there?" So I went over. I was like, "What are you all looking at?" And he said, "Oh, just taking some photographs." And I'm like, "Wow." And I'd never seen a digital camera before.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can actually see the pictures. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, I need to get one of these. He says, well, I'm selling this. So the following sales meeting, I bought it off him. And that was the start of it. Absolute start of it.
What kind of camera was it? Was it just a digital camera?
Canon XS V, which is just a little silver point and shoot.
Yeah.
Great for the time. It's funny though, because the screen on the back was probably about that big. Not even 2 inches. It was tiny, so you could only see the pictures anyway.
Was that one of them old flip phone kind of little mini screens?
Back in the old days, yeah. So I had that for, I don't really know, probably about 6 months. And I thought, I need a better camera. I'm so into this. So I went to Jessop's, that used to be at Monument.
Yeah.
I think it might be the Doc Martin shop now.
I think it's along that street, isn't it?
Yeah, it was there. Went in and I bought a Pentax K1000, I think it was. And after about 2 days, I realised that I'd completely overshot myself. I didn't have a clue what to do with it. Couldn't work it at all. Took it back. Thankfully, the manager was there and he was great. He was like, well, I can't give you a refund. I was like, I don't want a refund. I need to swap it for something else. And he's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. So I ended up with a Fuji Super Zoom, which was the S5000 or 6500, something like one of those, which is great. Nice camera, typical Fuji colours even then. It was good. And then I also got a Fuji F11, which I think where my love of Fuji comes from, those two cameras. And then eventually, probably about, I don't know, a year, 2 years later, I bought a Canon, either the 300D or the 350D, I can't remember which one it was, and that was my first proper DSLR. I'd learned about the aperture, completely forgotten the name of it, the triangle. The people who know photography will know what I'm talking about.
As if you don't know photography after this.
Exposure triangle,
right.
Thank you, sorry. So I'd learned that, I knew how it all works, and rule of thirds and all that stuff. So I was a lot better with that. And then I was with Canon for quite a while, maybe 5 years. And then Fuji brought out, I think it was called the X10. And then the X Pro 1 and the X100. I got the X10, got completely taken over. Eventually got the X100 and the X Pro 1, so I had all three. Sold the X10, but that was it. I then sold all my Canon gear. And just stuck with Fuji, which has been about the last 10 years. And Ricoh. I have a Ricoh
That's
Geo,
a nice little one. That looks like a nice little handy one to have.
It's a story in itself, the Ricoh. I've owned this camera on almost 4 separate occasions. I had the GR2, and I sold that to upgrade to the GR3. I then sold the GR3 because I wanted the Fuji X70, and they were both 28mm. So I thought I might as well just get the Fuji fanboy.
Nice, yeah.
Ended up getting rid of that eventually. Then I thought, I need a Ricoh again because I miss it. So I bought it again, and then I sold that just because I was absolutely skint. And then I just bought it again 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
Sold a load of stuff to get the money together because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Camera. People don't realize first of all, how much goes into actually setting up the perfect photograph, which we'll talk about later. But also just don't lie on podcast, man. You know what makes a good photograph, and we'll get into that as well. But it's the time it takes to learn everything. Because when I first started YouTube, I just got the same camera as my friend who it's actually that one over there. I don't need to see that. Just sitting on a little tripod over there. But it's a very basic level camera, and then trying to learn how to do lighting, exposure, it's ISO, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Trying to learn all this, I was like, God damn, can't I just point and shoot? You know what I mean? But people think that as a photographer, it's like, for people that don't know, they just think it's just, you turn up, you point, shoot, you get a photo. It's not. There's so much more to it than that.
So this is why there's a lot of arguments about wedding photographers overcharging, and it's so unfair. And the thing that makes me laugh as well is that out of the wedding, the photographs are probably the only thing that's going to last. So, so
not to slag off weddings or anything.
The bride's probably spent 200 quid on her hair, 1,000 on a dress that she's going to wear once, and then some of them trash them after that,
True.
which is great. I do think it's fun. God knows how much the shoes cost, and yet people complain about the cost of a photographer. That is, they're worth their weight in gold.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wedding photographers, without a doubt. I know a few, and they're brilliant. not for me. Couldn't do it. I've done 3 weddings in my life. Too much stress.
I was going to say it's got to be a lot of pressure to capture that moment.
I mean, if you get it wrong, you've got an enemy for life.
Well, yeah.
It's just I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do the stress of that either. I've filmed at a few little speaking gigs and stuff like that, but nothing where anyone would ever, if it went wrong, would I'd feel guilty for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, now I tell you what, I would like to do. I wouldn't mind being second shooter at a wedding.
Yeah, to tip the edge off, the pressure off. Yeah.
There's a guy called Kevin Mullins, photographer, who shoots weddings like he shoots street photography. So there's no group shots, there's no all the typical wedding stuff. He just wanders around the wedding and the reception, just taking street photographs of people, and he's brilliant. It's really, really good.
Because that's how I think people will remember it as well, which will be those sort of candid photographs of when they saw someone laugh or when they saw someone on the dance floor doing this. That's what they'll remember more than a group of people stand and pose.
Well, he's the guy, the first time I ever heard of this, and I do know other people who do this now, but what he used to do is, as the people came out of the church, and they always congratulate the bride and groom and everything,
throwing confetti.
He'd actually stand behind the bride. And people were like, why would you do that? And he's like, because I'm getting people's reactions as they congratulate the bride and groom. So dad's in tears, mum's in tears, and nobody gets photographs like that. So I think he literally came up with that. I may be wrong, but that's my impression.
It's all about, the thing is, the attitude towards photographs has changed a lot, especially in the last sort of, I would say probably 10, 15 years. The attitude towards, because obviously beforehand, like, when we'd go on holiday, we'd get, like, when we used to go as a family and stuff, it was like, we'll have this digital camera, then we'd take the little roll of film or whatever to Asda, get that thing, you get a little folder full of all the holiday photos and see what actually turned out okay. Yeah. And then now it's like, I can take it on my phone or, a really good DSLR and post it to the Instagram straight away. Do you know what I mean? It's very much, we're not about showing we're family anymore. We're all about, like, how many likes can we get on Instagram? Yeah, showing the entire world, exactly, yeah. So the attitude must have changed. Do you think that's changed, like, in the people that you've shot? Do you think that's changed since you started your career, like people's attitude towards wanting photos?
I think the thing is, now everybody's a photographer. Because everybody's got a phone generally that can take pictures. So everybody's a photographer in that sense. Yeah. And you can get great pictures on a phone. Some photographers can be quite snobby about that. But there's a guy in America whose entire career is doing weddings on an iPhone. And his pictures are great. I can't remember his name, but his pictures are greಟ್.
Can you imagine that at your wedding and you've put this photographer and he just rocks it with his phone?
Well, that's his selling point. I would imagine when he first started, it was probably quite tough. But that's literally his selling point now. And because the pictures are so good, he's made a career out of it. And he does a lot online and stuff with iPhone photography. But it's good, yeah. I just think everybody's a photographer. I don't know. I'm sort of working out your question. I think, sorry.
It's all right. It is just kind of like the attitude towards what people want, what people expect. Like beforehand, like if we went on holiday, it was like, pose next to this monument, we'll take this picture, and then somehow get it onto Facebook when we get home. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now it's like, take about 600 photos of me. I'm going to filter this. I'm going to cover this and this, and I'm going to post it straight away.
Well, that's true. I mean,
it's the attitude has completely changed to, we'll just get a nice photo here and then that's it.
I remember telling my son years ago, he thought girls would snap and then post it. I was like, no, son.
No.
They've done that about 400 times from the same position at the same time and then pick the best one.
Yeah.
It's like, really? It's like, yeah. So in that respect, yes, you're absolutely right. It has changed.
It's because you send it to the entire world now. It's not just, you're not just showing your 4 friends or whatever.
And a lot of people, I think, who even don't do photography with any kind of passion, it's just something for fun, probably have Photoshop or Lightroom or something else that they can process.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing it. And of course all the social media has these apps and
face app now makes your face symmetrical or makes you look.
I hate it all.
Catfishing.
I have a massive hatred of Instagram filters.
Worry. I have a question coming up later on about your hatred in photography, so we'll get to that. But
I've got a
it's all right. I want to take you back to actually the time as a taxi driver, because you actually used to carry around a portfolio in your taxi of the photographs that you took.
I did, which kind of, because at that time I was photographing anything and everything.
Yeah.
And I was doing a thing called Newcastle Daily Photo. It it's quite a long story, but I'll cut it down. So I bought Amateur Photographer magazine one week, and there was an article on a French guy called Eric Tenin, who had a blog called Paris Daily Photo. And I looked at this, thought, this is a great idea. I'll do a Newcastle Daily Photo.
Yeah.
So I started it, and it had become kind of a group. So all these people were in touch with each other. I think I was the 14th one. By the time I stopped doing it, there was probably over 200 people around the world doing it, and it was brilliant. Some really small towns, some bigger towns. Obviously in England there was Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Bristol. There was a lot in America. It was a mostly American-based thing. It took off really well over there. But then Barcelona, Milan, all those places as well. It was great. It was really, really interesting, and I enjoyed that a lot. And then New Year's Eve 2006, I think it was. I must admit, my timeline's never bang on.
So no one's gonna know. You can tell them it was like 2 years ago. No one's gonna know unless the research. No one's gonna know.
So I was still taxi driving. So that's sometime between 2006 and 2008. New Year's Eve, I picked up a Polish girl, and we got chatting. And she saw this folder of photographs on the dashboard, so she had a look at it, and she said, "Oh, is this you?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Do you want to photograph me?" And I was like, "Beautiful Polish girl, of course I want to photograph you. Why would I not?"
Yeah.
So we arranged for the February in 2007. We did the shoot, and I've still got the pictures, and they're truly, truly awful. She was great. I mean, just a really pretty, attractive woman. I was terrible. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It's the first real portrait shoot I'd ever done. But yeah, I suddenly thought, I think this is what I want to do. So hopefully I've got a bit better. But that was kind of the start of it, and then there was these online websites like Web Models and Pure Storm and all these sort of things. So you join them, and it's basically a model photographer site that you meet up and arrange shoots and stuff.
Nice, yeah.
There are some professional models on there who only do paid shoots. There are some professional photographers, there's studios on there, there's makeup artists, all those type of things. And they're still going. I think the one that most people have heard of is Purple Port, although I don't think that's going anymore.
That rings a bell, but that sounds like something that I remember from
I
like
don't
the
know if it's still
mid-2000s or
going
something.
or not.
Yeah.
But I know Pure Storm, I saw something the other day, they're thinking of coming back, but using a different name, so I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, everyone's just Instagram and OnlyFans now, isn't it?
Well, I don't use them anymore. I haven't done for a long, long time. I haven't done hard about going back on them, but most of my shoots I get through Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, so. Yeah, definitely. So how did you feel going into that? Obviously, you felt a little bit unprepared for this model shoot with this Polish girl. Like, how did you feel about like that scenario? Like, where did you take these pictures?
I was very nervous to start with because, at the time I was in my late 40s, and you're dealing with very young, 18 plus, attractive young women, and it's a weird scenario. It's quite surreal, especially the more experience you get and you shoot models who want to do topless or nudes and stuff. And I thought I'm not going to be able to deal with this very well. Anyway, I found that it was easy. It wasn't a difficult thing to do, and I shoot everything the same. I always have done. So whether I'm doing street photography or I'm shooting buildings or I'm shooting models, I have the same attitude. Be as professional as you can, make it fun. As I always say to models, even now, we're not shooting for Vogue. This is just for fun. That's the only reason I do this. And thankfully, that's carried me through all this time. Thankfully, I got better, I think, and it's been good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because it's one of those things that you've got to have that professional hat on, and it seems like that was something for you to turn on pretty easy.
Word of mouth is everything within portrait photography. And there's been a few over the years in this area that, have been named and shamed and don't do it anymore, and rightly so. I'm not going to lie, I made a mistake very early on when I was shooting models. I misread signals that weren't even there, and I asked the model out, and even now I cringe thinking about it. Thankfully, it wasn't a horrendous mistake, it was just a mistake, and I learned after that. Excuse me, and that's never happened since, obviously, and I'm just very professional. I think the proof in it is if you look at my website, the amount of models that I've shot again and again and again and again, and they wouldn't come back if I was, not suitable.
Yeah, if you were one of those creepy ones. Exactly.
Yeah.
So one thing that you mentioned to me, which I found really interesting, was because I'm all about people's mindsets and the way they perceive things, especially what they do as a career or a hobby or whatever. And one thing you said to me was you don't consider yourself a photographer, which was an interesting thing for me because it's like, well, I can't do this as a podcaster without considering myself a podcaster. Do you know what I mean? Or an interviewer or something like that. So why does that mindset sit with you so strongly?
I've always felt this. I call myself a photographer just for ease more than anything. So, but the reality of it is I do photography. I'm not a photographer. I don't make money out of it. I'm not a professional. Hopefully I have a professional attitude, but I don't make money out of it, so I'm not a photographer. And a lot of the girls who model are not models. They do modelling, but they're not models. There's nothing insulting about that. It's just, it's like, and the best way, and I always come back to this, is those guys that kick a ball around on a Sunday morning are not footballers. They play football, but they work in offices and factories and call centres.
I like that. Yeah, no, you can see the divide there.
It just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started, I dreamt of being a rock and roll photographer and earning a fortune and being famous, but, never going to happen.
When did that mindset develop for you, do you think? When did you start?
I'm not a photographer.
Yeah. Was that kind of straight away something you decided, or did it just kind of develop into that?
I think I got sick of people saying the problem with this industry is, and I'm thinking, we're not in the industry. We do this for fun. Some of them are. Obviously, some of them are professional photographers, professional models. They actually make money out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, they're in the industry, but we're not working on catwalks, and we're not, front cover of Vogue or Playboy or whatever. We're not that level.
Yeah.
It's an internet level, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's brilliant, and I know for a fact that some of the models in particular make good livings out of it.
Yeah, well, that's how you start now, is Instagram.
They're exceptional models, and they do a brilliant job, and same with photographers. But for me, I was never in the industry. I take photographs for fun.
It's interesting. Do you ever think that might have held you back at all in terms of like a possible career, or was it never something that you thought about?
I don't know, because when I originally started, I did go out of my way to try and make money out of it. And I'd been published. We're all published photographers and published models.
Yeah, you said that. Everyone just says published as if it's like a big thing.
Everybody's published. So I've had book covers and I've been in magazines and all the rest of it, but it's not a big deal. So I made a little bit of money when I started, but then I realised very, very quickly, especially at that time, A, I wasn't good enough. B, there was way too much competition. And C, and most importantly, because I'm not a professional, I can shoot what I want to shoot. I don't have to stick to what a client wants.
Yes.
So that was the biggest thing for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
I can shoot what I want when I want.
Because there's no pressure on that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, excuse me,
Sorry?
to models, but I shoot for me. If the model loves the photographs, which fingers crossed, touch wood, generally they do. Yeah. Brilliant. I'm really happy about that. And if any other people like it, great. This is where, thankfully, because a lot of photographers are obsessed with Instagram likes, and it'll bring you down. And I was like that for a long time. Now, thankfully, I don't care anymore. I'd love to get more. I'd love to be Instagram famous, but God, just influencers. One of my pet hates.
You could be doing, hi guys, welcome to my camera haul. I just got this new Fuji.
Couldn't do it.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Do you know what? Do you know what? Right? I've done videos for like 7 years now, and every time I had to say, please like, share, subscribe, I do at the end of the episode. I'm always like, please leave a 5-star review, none of this 4-star bullshit, right? And it's like, I cringe saying that, but like sometimes you do have to remind people to do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, because I've listened to podcasts for years, and I'm like. And then when they start saying, be sure to leave us a review, I'm like, oh shit, like I never reviewed it, you know what I mean? And it helps people, So I completely get the likes thing. You want to know that your stuff's good.
A brilliant photographer who's literally just joined YouTube recently, probably in his 50s, I would have thought, early 50s. Alan Schaller, street photographer, does a lot of black and white shadows, and people are usually not recognisable in his photographs. And he just joined, but I can see he's got a brilliant sense of humour and he doesn't take it too seriously. But obviously he does the subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah, but in like an ironic kind of way.
Yeah, it's good. But his channel's great. I'm really enjoying watching it.
Nice, man. So, is there anything that you particularly can't stand when it comes to other photographers or other photographers' work? Is there anything that really just pisses you off?
Yes, there's a long list. I did a blog post about it on my blog once. There's a few, but I try to say the thing with photography is, for argument's sake, it's art. No matter what you're shooting, it's art. So an art is very much up to the individual what they like.
Yeah, subjective, yeah.
Yeah, subjective, that's the word, thank you. So people can do what they like, but there's certain things that I will never ever shoot, and in some cases I will never shoot again because everybody does it when you first start. My absolute top of the list, utter pet hate, is selective colouring. You know, the black and white picture with just the red lips. Christ almighty, I hate it. And the best picture I ever saw for this that summed it up was street photography. He'd only just started. He wasn't very good. And he was still at that very shy stage where he'd always shoot from a long way away. Mm-hmm. And he had a picture of this street, and there were two bins in the middle of the street, these two green bins. And he'd basically selective coloured the bins. So it was a street shot, black and white, with two green bins.
Right.
I was like, why are the bins the most important part of the photograph?
Yeah.
It was just truly awful. Funnily enough, he has improved quite a lot. He's actually not a bad photographer now.
You need to recreate that photo if you listen. You recreate that bin photo. Yeah.
So just to, I'll kind of sum this up. I'll give you a list. The ultimate picture would be a half-naked model with a guitar, wrapped in caution tape, with rose petals falling down, next to a waterfall and a little pool or river, but it would have to be shot on such a slow shutter speed that the water was fluffy.
Right, okay, yeah.
They're all things I absolutely hate. Girls who guitar, if you can play guitar, absolutely fine. Not a problem. But if you can't play guitar and you're just sitting there with a guitar, why? What was the point of that?
I'm going to tell you something here. So I did so when I was about 15, 16, something like that, I really wanted to start looking cool on social media. I started really caring about it. So I had a guitar since I was like 11 or something like that, like 12, 11, and I'd never touched it. Like I'd practiced like twice, and I thought, I was like, Mom, I've got my hair done nice, it was all spiky and stuff, and I was like, take a picture of me playing my guitar, and I use it in all my speeches now because in the picture that she took, there's a mistake, and it's the strap is I've got it like just round my neck. As if it's like a,
so it's not over your shoulder.
It's not over. It's not around my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always use it, and I'm like, I always ask the audience, I'm like, can you see what's wrong with this picture? And everyone's like, you're not using a plectrum, and I'm like, no, that's not a problem. That would be a preference. And I'm like, the strap's on the wrong way because I just did it to look cool. I didn't do it because I
failed miserably.
And failed fucking miserably. Got like 2 likes, and one of them is my mom who took the thing. You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't make it cool. You know what I mean? So that photo went down well. Didn't go down well, sorry, but it goes down well at the speeches and stuff. But yeah, I'm just like, if you can't play it, don't pretend that you can play it.
Although it makes me a massive hypocrite because I used to own 3 guitars and I can't play them.
But did you take pictures to look cool with them, though? Did you take pictures to look cool with them, though?
No, but I did used to pretend to play them when I was listening to music in my room.
That's okay.
As a man in his 30s.
It was fine until you told us you were a man in your 30s.
If I was 14, it would have been fine.
But have you seen the footage of, like, I think it's an older guy, and he's like, trying to play an acoustic guitar, and he starts raging and punching his hand. He's like, fucking... He's like,
smashing the guitar. Yeah, absolutely hilarious. Keep getting it wrong, doesn't he?
He's hitting his hand. It's so brilliant. Good. I absolutely adore that video so much. I mean, I see it on TikTok now because it's passed through every social media. I see it and I'm like, yes.
It's been around for a long time. It may even have been on MySpace to start with.
It probably was. And do you know what? He's probably a fucking rock star by now. He's probably well up there. He's probably supporting Metallica.
It's like the Ronnie Pickering video. You must have seen
who do you think? I'm Ronnie Pickering. Who? Ronnie Pickering.
There's something on that which a lot of people have never noticed. I know this is completely irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Tangents, I love it.
But there's a bit at the end where the kid on the bike goes, "Who's Johnny Pickering?" So we don't even call him by his... And I don't think people have noticed that.
I've never heard that either. No,
watch it again. Right, he said, "So who's Johnny Pickering?"
To be fair, if you're in a motorbike helmet as well, you're not going to know. You're going to be, what would you say, mate?
Phenomenal. And I love it because it's such broad Hull accents, which is where I'm from, that area, so it's hilarious.
It's relatable. Do you know Ronnie Pickering since you were on there?
No, never knew.
No, Ronnie, if you're listening, do you want a photo shoot with Chris? I'm sure he'd shoot you and he would happily tag you at Ronnie Pickering.
As long as you don't shout at me.
Ronnie Pickering. I love that guy. But so every photographer sort of has their own sort of style, their unique vision for how they want a photograph to well, not everyone, but a lot of will. When you go into a shoot, what's sort of your mindset behind it? What kind of image do you want to portray with your sort of style?
My biggest influence is where that comes from, I think. I've got endless influences, but the two photographers whose work influenced me the most, one, I think it's obvious, one not so much, but the guy who influenced me the most is a guy called Bob Coulter, who I think he's in LA now, but he was in New York. He was originally part of the New York punk scene, CBGBs and all that in the 70s. And somebody gave him a load of erotic photography that was his to do what he wanted. So he set up a website. I think this is the basic story. He set up a website, very quickly realised he was running out of content. So he bought a camera and started photographing girls himself. He knew a lot of hookers, he knew a lot of sex workers, he knew a lot of porn stars, all these people.
Yeah.
So he got to shoot with them, and that's how the website's called crazybabe.com.
All right.
And he kind of breaks a lot of the rules in that he shoots with a wide-angle camera. He shoots with... most of the time you can see the light stands in the pictures. He's the first photographer I ever saw who had his own feet in the picture.
Okay.
Shooting from above with the model on the bed and him stood either side of it.
Right, yeah.
And that all I was just so impressed with all that. So I tried to rip him off. And of course I was absolutely terrible at it. Now I can rip him off really well. However, I don't really copy his exact style. I do shoot with a wide angle a lot of the time. I usually use either 35mm, 50mm or 24. And I love the 24. But I also really like lower angles, higher angles. I try and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And something I've only started this year, all my model photography now is using on-camera flash. So I've got a couple of little flashes that I can just add to the hot shoe.
Yeah.
And I like that whole sort of Vice, American Apparel, Tumblr look.
Tumblr, now we're going back.
Well, I'm a big fan of Tumblr.
Are you still on Tumblr?
Oh, I'm still on Tumblr.
Yeah.
I've got 3 Tumblr sites.
Nice.
Excuse me. Which I use a lot, so I'm on there a lot. It's brilliant. I think Tumblr and Instagram are probably the two places where I find the biggest influences. And the other photographer is a woman called, forgotten her name. She goes under the name Filthy Mouth Creative, which have a look on Instagram because she's phenomenal. I would definitely say she was a fashion photographer, whereas Bob Coulter's stuff's more kind of trashy and seedy. But I like that because I get quite defensive of what I call trash art, because I think trash art is as valid as any other art. And I would definitely call him a trash artist. It's good. It's seedy. It's sexy. It's quite... graphic sometimes,
grungy kind of vibe,
whereas Brooke Olin Perry is her actual name, Filthy Mouth Creative. Her stuff's very classy. She only shoots film, so it's got that distinctive look. God knows how she can afford it. But yeah, so those are two kind of big. Brooke Olin Perry's stuff you wouldn't really recognise as me being influenced by it, I don't think, but Bob Coulter's stuff you would. I forgot what the original question was.
What's your unique style? You answered it.
Right. So yeah, probably wide angle and on camera flash. I just really like that. I've never used this for a model shoot yet, but I'm going to, I think, within it. I've got a couple coming up this week, so I'm going to give that a go and see if it works. It's 28mm, so it's wide. It's not as wide as the 21 or the 24 that I've used. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see how that works on a cut. Because I've another massive influence on me, and this has literally only happened in the last few weeks. There's a Japanese photographer called Daido Mariami.
Okay.
Who's been around for 50, 60 years. And he shoots really, really grungy, black and white only. He's a massive influence on a lot of other Japanese photographers. Tatsu Suzuki, who's another one of my favourites. He's obviously influenced by him. And I really fancy doing a set like that. So it's really grungy. Not 100% sure if the models would love it.
If you find the right model.
They're not pretty pictures. But I do know a couple who I think would be, I'm definitely up for that.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, because obviously I think your style will be represented, not just obviously, because obviously for anyone that can't see Chris, long beard, tattoos, you've got the rings on with the skulls and stuff. It's very grungy, very rocky look, you know what I mean? And it would be weird if your photos didn't reflect that.
Well, I always wanted to be the rock and roll photographer, but then somebody pointed out to me that means people think you shoot bands and gigs and stuff.
True.
And I thought, good point. So that's why I'm not. That's why.
Have you ever done like a Trillions shoot or anything like that?
I've done gigs before.
Yeah.
Some of them are not great. But I've done some good stuff. I was very fortunate to shoot the very first Hard Rock Hell Festival.
Nice.
Down in Devon or Cornwall somewhere. It was a bloody long drive, I remember that. And I was helping out with Demolition Records at the time.
Okay.
And they said, bring your stuff down. We'll get you a pass. You can shoot some of the bands. And I got to shoot Twisted Sister.
Nice.
Which was great. And there was only me and one other photographer who was allowed to be in the pit for more than 3 songs. So I got some great shots of that. I actually met them during that week as well.
That's cool.
With Demolition Records at the time. They'd licensed all their stuff. And they were doing a new album with them. So I got to meet all of them. They were funny. Dee Snider told me I was going to die.
Oh.
We were in a lift and I was panting because I was out of breath. And he just looked at me and went, "You're going to die, man." And I'm like, "Oh, we all are, to be fair." And he's like, "Yeah, but you're going to die before me." Great.
So is this going to be when are you keeping the news articles open, like with notifications on?
I'm waiting. Because he's super fit, he's Dee Snider. He goes to the gym and all that stuff. And he's probably a similar age to me, if not older. So
you're just living past him out of spite now, really?
I would, and that's my plan. That's my plan. Because I won't be able to remind him.
Or you just send him a message on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, "I'm still alive, motherfucker."
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Just slide into his DMs.
Funnily enough, I don't think he'll remember me. But
you never know, mate. You never know.
But it was good. Saxon were on, and there was a lot of rubbish on, but it was a good event. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice, man.
Saxon were great, actually.
I bet, yeah.
Which I did. I can't even think what year it would have been. Must have been 10 years ago. Can't remember when the first Hard Rock Hell was. If anybody knows, then they'll know when it was.
Yeah, leave it in the comments of the YouTube video when this goes
leave
over
it in the
here.
comments,
So like, it was this year, man. But so you mentioned to me as well, you said that you really hate when photographers say the words, "If I get one good photo, I'll be happy."
Oh, this is something I don't understand. It really puzzles me. So this is very much a street photographer thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you see all these street photographers, and I've learned a lot from watching YouTube videos of really, really good street photographers. But a lot of them say, if I go out and I only get one decent shot, then it's been a good day. Or if I only get 10 good shots all year, then I'm pleased. And I'm like, you can't be that poor a photographer that you already get 10 good shots in a year. How's that even possible? So maybe my quality control isn't as high as theirs. Maybe I need to be.
Maybe they're fussier and
maybe I need to be a bit more. But a lot of my photographs that I post on my website, I know they're not interesting photographs, but for whatever reason, I like them. Mm-hmm. So I'm quite happy to put it up. I try and put just my best stuff on social media, but on my website I literally put everything, which, to be fair, is way too much because I shoot a lot. I am absolutely prolific. I mean, I think I've told you, I've had this camera just over 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, you mentioned how many you did.
And I have taken... Where are we? Turn that off and it'll tell me.
Drum roll, please.
11,539 pictures in 3 weeks.
So not many, yeah.
Not many. I don't go out much. So, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
but the worst part is you've got to go through all of those and decide which ones you want to keep.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's because I shoot in continuous mode. Mm-hmm. So I'll get on. So literally every scene I take a shot of, I've got 2, 3, 4 pictures of. So obviously I pick the best one. Yeah. Although in some cases the pictures are identical, especially if it's the
war bottle
I took before, the war which I took earlier. So there's 3 pictures out there I checked, and there's 3. So I'll delete 2 of them. I'll probably delete all 3 of them, to be honest with you.
That's a lot of work.
So it is. It takes a long time, but the thing about photography for me that I love, I literally enjoy the entire process. So I enjoy getting ready for a shoot, whether it's a portrait shoot or doing street photography. I enjoy being out, meeting people, doing the thing, having conversations, getting home, putting them on the computer, looking through them, deciding what's good. Every so often there's like, oh man, that's a banger, as the kids say today. Love it, brilliant. I didn't even realise I'd got that so good. And then you go through it all, you delete all the crap. I even enjoy doing that, and then I post it up on my website.
Nice.
And then I pick out the ones that I'm actually going to post on Instagram over the next few weeks. So it's great, but I take way too many photographs. It's ridiculous.
Fair. 11,000 was.
But I have no life. I don't do anything else. So.
The thing is, if you enjoy it, that's a good life. You know,
I love it.
If you enjoy it,
love it.
Well, I was told that you during one of your shoots with someone that you actually banged your head and cut it to bleed while you're trying to get a good angle on a photograph. So I'm just curious, when it comes to getting a good angle on a photograph, what's the sort of your mindset towards when you're looking through that lens? How do you know what makes this photograph, and where would you move to get the perfect shot?
How do you know I cracked my head?
Research.
I'm shooting her again next week. I tend to shoot off the back screen. A lot of photographers don't like using the back screen, but I'm
as opposed to looking through the...
I do this occasionally, but more often than not, I'm off the back screen. And a great thing with a camera with a flip screen, like the Fuji X100V, which is what I use for most of my model stuff, well, for all of my model stuff, is you can flip it up and I can get right down as best my back will allow me to. Or above, and I can still see. And I like the weird angles and all this sort of stuff. In a lot of cases, you probably don't know if it is a good shot or not. I'm very much, I'm what I call a scatter shooter. So the old spray and pray.
Well, you just Scarfacing it up?
Yeah, I literally just... And I get home and, I might do a model shoot where there's 1,000 photographs, which again is just insane.
You can use that as a new handle if you want the Scarface of photography. You can have that one. Exactly, yeah.
I'll stick with the camera bastard. But I took 1,000 photographs of a model, and don't forget this is not on continuous. I shoot these individually, so it's way too many. But I say I just enjoy the process so much. That one was. I'm trying to remember. I think she down on her haunches. On her honkers, and I kind of moved around to get a shot from above her, and there was this metal box sticking out, and I just cracked my head on it, and it was bleeding quite a lot actually.
Hits more when you're bald, doesn't it? You know what I mean? There's no hair to protect it or anything like that.
So I was like, ow, and she's like, oh my god, you're bleeding, and I was like, fine, don't worry about it. Oh god, I am bleeding.
Like, let's get the shot, it's fine.
Obviously the shot's the most important thing. So, but yeah, I've done all sorts of things. When we talk about my other photography.
Yeah, that's next. Don't worry, guys, it's coming.
I'll mention a story of falling off a bed, which was...
let's just get into that now. Yeah. But actually, to be fair, I have one question I feel it's quite an important one. So obviously, you mentioned earlier that shooting with a lot of these women, that there are a lot of younger women, they're often going topless or they're wearing revealing clothing, and some of them obviously shoot. There's a point where they shoot with you for the first time.
Yes.
So how do you think you create that safe, trusting environment for them? Because it's got to be quite nerve wracking for them to do that a lot of the time. So how have you created this?
Generally,
atmosphere?
Tell them. What's normally happening is very, very, very rare we do this the first time we shoot. I might have shot them 2 or 3 times before. If it is the first time, I'm happy for them to bring somebody with them. I think that's important to make them comfortable. And obviously I'll talk a lot online. And one of the things, consents in any form of life is really important. And one of the things I always tell these girls, you sure you want to do this? You're 100% sure. Once this is on the internet, it ain't leaving it. You might want to be a teacher in 10 years' time. They will search you. So I go through all the possibilities of things that they might regret doing it. And then I say, don't forget, even at the last minute, if you decide you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. Simple as that. You're always in charge and in control of this. And then one of my absolute favourite models, I'd shot with her, probably 5 or 6 times, probably more. And she said, I want to do some sexy stuff. I was like, you sure? And we had all the discussion that I've just said.
Yep.
Anyway, we did it. We did it in my flat. and pictures are great. She loves them. And she came back to me afterwards. She said, I got quite emotional after you sent me the pictures. And I said, why? And she said, I just feel so empowered because I know how good I look on these pictures. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's kind of what it's for. You know, I'm really pleased you feel like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she's a brilliant model, so it helps. But so there's a good side to it.
Yeah.
But I've also shot people, and if a model comes back to me, it's happened recently, where a model said, I don't want those photographs up anymore, can you take them down? I'll take them down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, is there like a legal ramification if you don't take that down? Is there?
I don't think so, because I own the copyright to the photographs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny because like you speaking into a microphone. Apparently, I didn't realize this until I think recently. Like if you say something on here that you don't like, for example, but you've spoken at the microphone, because you spoke on a microphone, you give consent for it to be used as whatever. So. Have fun with that. But, you know what I mean? But that's
I haven't
just
said anything too embarrassing.
Yeah. So it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So we all got it. We all got the camera. Yeah, sweet. So so you obviously we mentioned earlier the more intimate sort of side of the photography, the more sexy stuff, the more pornographic, shall we say? So how on earth do you end up in that scenario? How on earth do you end up there?
I had a couple of friends ask me to shoot them. Doing the do.
Mm-hmm. Dance for no pants. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, really? And I didn't know if I wanted to do it or not. I thought I'd be too nervous and too uncomfortable seeing friends.
Yeah.
Doing that. Anyway, they kind of went, it's fine, it's what we want. You'll be fine. We don't really want anybody else to do it. We've known you long enough. Blah, blah, blah. So,
like how you were more nervous than them.
Yes, probably. Anyway, it went all right. It went okay. Pictures were all right. And then I knew a guy who was blessed, shall we say. And he was a bit of a dog. If he's listening to this, he knows.
Bit of a dog or a bit of a horse? Which one?
Bit of both. What's that? That's that plumbing YouTube TikTok thing. Whose horse is that?
I just think of the full Monty when I say horse by name, horse by nature, innit?
So I had a friend who works for a porn company called Joy Bear in London, and they were making a TV series for one of the satellite TV channels called TVX, and it was based in Newcastle. It was about students, freshers it was called, I think. And she came to me and said, do you know anybody in Newcastle who'd be ideal for this shoot? For this, I thought, oh yeah, I do. Our blessed friend, he'd be perfect for it. So I mentioned it to him and he was like, yeah, okay. So we arranged a shoot with another lass. Anyway, we did the shoot. The lass then panicked and said, please don't put these photographs anywhere. So nobody's ever seen these photographs. I'm pretty sure they've been long deleted. But the guy got involved and spoke to the lass from Joy Bear. I'm just not saying names because
that's fine. Yeah, no worries.
So they met up, and she spoke to him and everything. He said, "Right, okay, let's do it." So I ended up doing the stills on that. Now, to be honest, I'd done a bit before this. So before the TV show Freshers was made, I did a couple of things with this guy and a couple of his other friends, and I found how I wanted to shoot them. Now, a lot of glamour stroke porn is shot very flat. It's not sexy light. It's getting better. Even Playboy now shoots kind of that style, but it was all very flat, very super clean. And I started shooting with a wide open lens, which means you get a lot of out of focus. And concentrating on certain parts of the picture.
Right.
Usually those parts, obviously, it's porn. And very quickly I got a bit of a reputation. People were loving it. Weirdly, a lot of girls were liking it. Don't know why I said weirdly. I apologise. Girls like porn as much as guys do. But I got a lot of girls who were loving it. And then one of the girls he'd shot with was making a film with two very well-known British porn stars. I can't remember his name, but her name was Chantal Fox. She's still doing it. She's still around. She's very well known. And she contacted me and said, we're coming to Newcastle. Will you come to our hotel and shoot us? And I was like, oh, wow. Like, this is a name. I'd heard of Chantal Fox.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I'd love to. So anyway, I got there. Chantal's great. She's mental, but she's great. I'll tell you another story about her in a minute. So we're shooting. They're hard at it. 6 now. It's great. It's brilliant.
So it's just the three of you in this hotel
So
room.
it's
and
just the three of us in this hotel room in Newcastle. And the pictures were fantastic. Even I look at them and go, Christ, these are brilliant. They're really, really good. But there was one picture in the scene where, without getting too graphic, he's sat against the bed. No, she sat against the bed with her legs open. He's having his lunch down there. And I'm behind them, laid on the bed, taking shots.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then they moved. I kind of bounced and fell off the bed. She's in absolute hysterics. He doesn't really know what's going on. And I'm on the floor going, ow, that hurt. Didn't break my camera, though.
That's the most important part, yeah.
So, but on a different scale, I was shooting her again with my friend. This was a few months later, 2013, very early. And after we'd finished the shoot, we're kind of sitting around having a cup of tea, and I'm thinking, I don't feel very well. Like, oh, I said his name.
I'll believe it. It's fine.
My friend said, are you all right? And I'm like, no, something's definitely wrong. So pain in my chest, tingling down my arm, hands starting to sweat a bit. I said, I think I need to go to hospital. So I was originally going to go home, get changed, drop my camera gear off, and then go to the hospital. So he said, come on, let's get you out. So I said, actually, take me straight to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They saw me within 10 minutes. And it turns out I'd had a heart attack.
Wow.
So don't watch porn, folks. It gives you a heart attack.
Jeez, the moral of the story is...
The moral of the story is porn's bad for you.
I didn't know that story. I was like, wow, where's this going?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a joke among my friends.
Are you right? No problems since? You've been all good since?
No, I mean, obviously, you can see I'm super fit. So
it was just that one instance where it was just too much for your heart.
It was just too much. I tell you, Chantal's good.
She's good enough to give a man a heart attack.
Absolutely. I think she was very proud of it, to be honest with you. So I shot with her, and I shot with Kylie Summers, who's another big name, I think, in British
You
porn.
did the original female driver for Fake Taxi as
I
well?
did, Ava Austin. Ava's just a wonderful, wonderful human. I really, really like Ava. Her husband was, his tattooist was down in Southend, I think. Anyway, for some reason he moved to Sunderland to work for, I think, 666, that tattoo studio.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Sunderland.
yeah.
Brilliant stuff from them. And she contacted me and said, I'm coming up to Newcastle, to Sunderland. My husband's getting tattooed. Do you fancy a shoot? Of course I fancy a shoot.
Yeah.
So we didn't do any porn stuff. It was just glamour and a bit of outside stuff. And I ended up shooting with her 3 times. And honestly, she's just one of the loveliest people I've met. Liverpool supporter, which is a bit,
So what's the downside?
She's from Southend, obviously. She's a Liverpool supporter. But great woman. I really like her.
Nice. So you dipped in and out of this for like 1-2 years, something like that?
About 2 years,
About 2 years. Is it as because a lot of people might think, well, that sounds like a great job doing that. Is it as fun and as exciting as some people might think it is?
I had a lot of fun. I met some really wonderful people. But I go back to it again, it's just like shooting anything else. And I mean, I can't do it now because of me back and my knees, but some of the positions I got into, and for a while,
that's just taking the photos.
Well, for a while I used to joke that I'd seen his dick more than I'd seen my own, because I did shoot with him a lot. Sorry, but no, it's fun. It's all right.
Yeah.
What I always, because I always defend sex workers. A lot of people say, it's the typical case, daddy problems, or you're forced into it. There's 3 reasons why anybody does any job. One, because you have bills. You need to pay stuff. Worst case scenario, you're forced into it. And that's not just sex workers, that's cockle pickers and, all these sweatshop factories and stuff like that. Yeah. And the third is because you enjoy doing what you do. Now, most sex workers I've met do it because they enjoy it, whether that's stripping, camming, or working in porn.
Yeah.
And absolutely, yes, we know there's a bad side to it, but what the people have got to understand is there's a complete difference between sex trafficking and sex work.
Yes.
Obviously, sex trafficking is fucking evil, and it's obviously we need to do everything around to stamp it out. Sex work is absolutely fine because this is all consensual. People doing it out of choice. A lot of them absolutely loving it. But I go back to what we were talking about before we started this. Some people work in call centres. Trust me, they fucking hate that job. I know. I did it for 11 years. It's soul destroying. And I always joke to lasses that I know, go and work in the sex industry rather than call centres. You'll have a lot more fun.
You'll be a lot less depressed as well.
People do call centres because they have to do a job. They have to earn money.
But it's funny that the whole stigma around it, like obviously, I've never considered sex work myself. I've joked to Luke, our mutual friend, about it in the past. I'm like, dude, like me and Luke make a lot of content for social media. I'm like, mate, if you want to make an OnlyFans, let's do it, man. If you think you can make money off it, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Well, I've been told by a couple of gay friends that I should totally do an OnlyFans. I'd go down a storm with the bear guys.
Guys, subscribe to Chris Harrison's OnlyFans.
They're like the big bearded guys, and apparently I would do very, very well. But
big cock, big lens.
Nobody needs to see this, honestly.
Well, there's a market for everything. So
there is. If you can think of it, there's a market for it. Absolutely.
But the OnlyFans market it is massive now. I mean,
See, I love how this has all happened. And I know OnlyFans nearly made a huge mistake a couple of years ago.
They nearly stopped doing all the
they would have
stuff,
gone out of business very quickly. Because I know Ava Austin's a prime example. She doesn't work for any of the companies now. Everything she does is for her. So she makes all the money.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's just brilliant. I mean, I'm amazed a lot of the porn companies still exist because more and more girls are doing it for themselves. And I think that's brilliant because it's taking back control. I always used to say this to cam girls and those that do online stuff, you're working from home.
Yeah.
You're safe. Nobody needs to, obviously accents kind of give away something, but nobody knows to know where you are.
You don't have to use a real name.
Exactly. And I absolutely love that.
Well, there's one thing that you said earlier that is really interesting to loop back on this point is, and I think I talked about this with Sam Gibson, who was on. We spoke about the way the world's going, the way people make money, and having sort of a account in the porn industry or an account on OnlyFans or whatever, it sounds like easy money, and for a lot of people it can be, especially if you're genetically gifted or you've had the work done or whatever, you put the effort into it. But there's also that there is a consequence to it in terms of the if you want to get a different job or you want to have a family or whatever, there is that side to it. Like obviously, I'm guessing when you shoot these photos, that's something that you consider telling them as well, like you said. Like
I constantly tell them that. Yeah. I've got I can't go too deeply into this, but I've got some friends who are about to become very, very famous through something. And I was talking to them about this the other day. This is nothing to do with sex work at all. It's a completely different thing. But they're about to become very famous. And I said, have you been given training with regards to social media and all the hatred and all the stupid comments and the offensive comments you're going to get? And they were like, no, but we know we're going to have it before it all starts. And I say that to a lot of them. Social media can be very, very poisonous. Excuse me, I'm going to burp again.
It's all right, do it, man. Straight into the mic.
So, something else that I've never told you. A few years ago, I applied for first dates.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yes. And I went to the audition. They loved me. Tattoos, beard, all this stuff.
Is that the one with Fred?
They go to a restaurant.
Yes.
Is it blind?
Yeah.
So, and I got through, and I went down to London, and they did all the interviews in front of the Red Heart. And all that stuff,
nice.
It was great fun. But me being the fussy bastard that I am, they couldn't match me with anybody.
How does that work then? Did they show you like pictures or what?
No, you do.
Oh, sorry. Obviously, it is blind. It's blind date, but like, how does it?
You don't see anybody.
So how do they match with you? Sorry, like
they
did
just
you get
interview you, try and find out about you, what you like, sort of girls that you like. So it's that kind of thing. They try and, if you notice, if you ever watch the program, they always seem to have people have something in common.
Yeah,
like they both love dogs, or they both worked in the catering industry, or something like that.
I love that show sometimes.
But so I never got on it. But they said you will have training. We suggest you turn all your social media off for at least 6 weeks. I was like, wow. So yeah, and girls online, I mean, you see it all the time, some of the hatred they get.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so annoying because the people that are giving them all the shit are the same people who look at their pictures. So it's either they're just, it's like that classic, hello babe, you're beautiful. Do you fancy meeting up? Oh no, you're not really my type. Well, you're fucking
hell,
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, what?
Well,
those are the same people.
Well, yeah. There was a show I listened to, and he was talking about OnlyFans models and stuff, and he was saying there was, have you heard of Fresh and Fit?
Fresh and Fit.
Fresh and Fit, yeah. So it's basically it's a guy
sounds far
called
too
Myron.
healthy to me.
It's a little bit like that, but they basically get a lot of women on, a lot of OnlyFans creators on, and this woman went on and she was like proper hounded in the comments because I have it live streamed and they're calling her like a hoe and whatever, and like she, after being on that and taking all that abuse, then got 2,000 more subscribers on her OnlyFans. So she made like hundreds of thousands just from taking this, and it's like those people that were calling her that were the same ones then going, I'm going to subscribe just to call her names. It's like, do you not realize that you're giving her money now? She's like, if someone was going to pay me like a subscription of £150 or something a month, or whatever, I don't know the subscription, £150 a month, just to call me names and say you bald twat, you ginger arsehole.
I could probably live with that.
Take it, bring it on. Bring on, pay more. So use the word cunt. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take away the swearing. Call me a cunt if it gives me money. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, but obviously it will degrade on a lot of people's mental health as well.
I think
some people aren't strong enough
badly.
to. Yeah. Because obviously, working in this industry and making videos and stuff. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff that people say to Luke. Our mutual friend. Some of the stuff on his.
Yeah, I mean, me and Luke have discussed this at great length. I mean, he's made the odd mistake, but he knows that.
He has, yeah.
But yeah, he does get a lot of unnecessary stick. Yeah. But I think anybody who puts themselves out there the way people like he does, there's always going to be people who hate it, whether it's jealousy or. If you don't like somebody, just ignore them. Yeah, that's how we always did it when we were young.
Yeah, exactly. Just scroll past. You don't need it.
I've never put a bad comment on anything on the internet.
Well, one of the things I found was, and this is why I love podcasts, mate, is because when you see things online a lot of the time, it's in 5-minute, 10-minute segments at most, or even now with TikTok and Reels, it's a minute to a minute and a half, right? You're judging someone based on that, and you're judging what they say in that clip. Whereas now I can go, well, you want more context. Instead of making yourself look like an arsehole coming in this clip, go watch the 2-hour-long interview that I just did. Then you'll get more context. Because you cannot take me the wrong way. If I give you enough context, if you give enough context to what you say in this interview, no one can say anything because it's like, well, you want the truth. There's an hour-and-a-half interview with Chris Harrison to listen to. Do you know what I mean? It's like, the truth is there, the context is there. Just put a bit more effort in.
Nobody could be bothered to listen for 2 hours. Though.
We're in a generation now of the too long didn't read. The TLDR. So it's like if anything's too long, too interesting, too much, they just switch off and scroll past.
I'm like that with YouTube. There's so many shorts on YouTube now.
And
I very rarely watch the shorts. I'm not interested in the shorts. A good street photography video for me is about 20 minutes. 20, 25 minutes. There's a guy called Paulie B. Brilliant New York street photographer, and he basically has this thing called walkie-talkie, where basically him and another photographer, it's pretty self-explanatory, they go for a walk and talk, and the other photographer takes photographs and stuff. Paulie B can't do both because obviously he's video, so he doesn't take any. And it's brilliant. It's really, really interesting. I found a few photographers that I'd never heard of them. One in particular, a woman called Melissa O'Shaughnessy. Fantastic. What a great street photographer she is. Trouble is, New York, it's impossible not to get great street photographs in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could go anywhere to do street photography, it'd be there, but my passport's run out, so it's not going to happen. But
get it renewed, man. Go, you know?
I do need... If I could go, I would, but I have a love-hate relationship with America. Do you have many American listeners already?
Like 2% of the audience.
I apologise for the 2%, but there's certain things about America I love. The culture, the music... the films, the actors, the writers, the photographers, all that, the porn stars, all that stuff, they're just brilliant at. But then the guns, the religion, the money, for God's sake.
There's a downside to everything. Yeah.
So I have a love-hate, and I have no intention of ever going back to America. But New York, I feels like a completely different place to the rest of America.
I can imagine, yeah. I'm going in December. I'll let you know how it is.
Just seems different. Yeah. You should check out an interview. Sorry, I'm digressing again. You should check out an interview with a photographer called Jill Friedman.
Friedman.
Yeah, she's dead now, unfortunately. She died in 2019. But she's interviewed. There's this interview with her. It's called The Other Side of the Lens. And they basically just interview photographers.
That sounds familiar.
And she must be in her 80s in this interview. I think the word would be feisty. that you would describe her as. She's amazing.
Everyone's pausing this now and looking this up. Yeah.
She's just phenomenal. She's typical New York attitude. She swears like an absolute trooper. She admits that she was a complete slut when she was younger. And it's just a brilliant interview.
It's a very authentic and honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those are the best ones. Yeah.
She's fantastic. And then you see her later playing with this dog and how bloody lovely she is. It's just like, but yeah, well worth watching.
Yeah, nice. I might check that actually. Yeah,
really interesting. And she's a phenomenal photographer.
Nice. So just round it back, do you think the porn industry is something that you're ever going to get back into shooting?
No, probably not.
No.
I just don't think I could do it. Honestly, I've got arthritis in both knees. I have a really bad back. So it's highly unlikely. It's not something I'm going to be able to do physically.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, nice. So one thing I noticed, obviously, and I know we spoke about this briefly, on your camera lens, or at least one of your many camera lenses that you have, is an Andy's Man Club sticker.
Yes.
So for people who aren't aware, Andy's Man Club is probably, I would say, the biggest men's mental health charity going on at the minute. We've got clubs everywhere. I know they opened one in Gateshead maybe it was a year and a half ago or something like that. I actually messaged them at the time and been like, do you need a speaker? And they're like, oh, we only take internal speakers who work for us. Right. I was like, that might change. But so tell me about, as much as you obviously feel comfortable with, because I love talking about mental health.
I've like a lot of people, I've had problems with my mental health over the years, up and down. I was getting very just bad times at night when I'm on my own. It's dark and all this. I didn't know if I had that SAD or what. I just didn't know what it was. But I've had various problems over the years, and I've got a friend. I call him a friend. He calls me a former colleague.
Well,
Darren, I hope you're listening. And he kept trying to get me to go. Mm-hmm. He'd been going for about a year, and I was like, "It's not for me, mate. It's not the sort of thing I'm not going to get any help from it." Anyway, eventually, just before Christmas last year, I think 12th of December, I think it was, he said, "Come on, I'll treat you to McDonald's afterwards." And, you know, he had me at McDonald's. So I said, "All right, I'll come.
You buy me a Happy Meal, I'll do anything."
Exactly. So we went. I was nervous. And then even after the first week, I wasn't really sure whether I was going to get anything out of it. After about the third week, I thought, you know, nearly a year later, I'm still going. And it's great. So basically, the story of Andy's Man Club, there was a guy called Andy in Halifax. Mm-hmm. This would be 7 years ago. He was 23, committed suicide. And I don't think anybody in his family had a clue there was anything wrong with him. Mm-hmm. So obviously, he'd never talked to anybody. His mum and I think his brother-in-law decided to arrange a get-together for the people in the area.
Was it Luke Ambler? Is that his name?
I don't know.
I think he's called Luke. I'm not sure, but
the brother-in-law.
Whoever started it, I think, is called Luke.
Right.
I
didn't know that.
So
I think 6 people turned up on this particular night in Halifax. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it kept going and just got bigger and bigger. Now there's 140 clubs around the country, and there's more opening all the time. I mean, I go every week and we get new people every single week. And the hardest thing is that first time you walk through the door.
Yeah.
But you get a free cup of tea, free biscuits, free cake. One of our members, his wife's a baker. And oh my God, she makes amazing cakes. So we do that. I go every week. And basically the setup is it's 5 questions every week. The first 3 questions are always the same. Mm-hmm. So the first question is, how's your week been? Second question is, what's been your highlight of the week? The third question is, anything you want to get off your chest? You're not allowed to talk about religion, politics, court cases, or your medications.
Fair point.
Fair enough. And it's helped me a lot. I literally feel like I don't need it anymore. Mm-hmm. But I go because it's nice seeing other people improving. Mm-hmm. There's guys there who have come in suicidal. We had one guy there, he tried to commit suicide the week before and failed. And I think his wife had said, you have to do something about this. So he came along and he's still going and he's so much better. And it's great to see. I mean, our leader, a guy called Paul, he's been going 5 years. He would have killed himself if it wasn't for Andy's Man Club. And there's a few in there that are very close to it. So it's a brilliant, brilliant thing. Mm-hmm. It's a really good charity. If you need help, go, honestly. It's friendly. Everybody's in the same boat. We get between 30 and 40 members on a Monday night.
Yeah.
there's rumours that they're looking to open a second one in Newcastle.
Nice.
Because they're like 30 to be about the right. So you split into 3 groups of 10.
Right.
And then, so it gets, because you're only there for 2 hours, 7 till 9 every Monday except bank holidays. And it's worth it. It's brilliant. Even if it's just for the free biscuits and cake, it's worth it. It's great.
No, I can imagine. Because there wasn't many. I mean, we did, myself and Luke, we did what we call South Shield's biggest mental health event last year. I don't know whether you saw that. So it's been about a year, actually. Exactly, I think.
Oh, no, I didn't
it was
see
like
that,
October or something like that. And we did it at Headworth Hall, which is just around the corner from here. And we raised money for Calm. We were going to do it for Andy's Man Club, but I think at the time
Oh, sugar, that's my phone.
I was wondering what that is. I was like, are you rattling? We can't monetize now because that song's going to be on it.
Copyright,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's fine. Well, we were going to do it for Andy's Man Club, but I think they couldn't accept it, or they had to be part of it, or something. There was something like that. They had to be part of the event, and we couldn't make it work. But yeah.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
do you know what I mean? But I think it might have changed now. But I'd love to work with them in the future for sure. So
I'll certainly mention it to them tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. So have you the friends that you meet? Do you guys hang out outside of it as well? Or?
Yeah, a few of us do. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 there that I've become really close to. Funnily enough, my former colleague, who I've known him for 17 years. Him and a couple of other guys. One guy's he's I love him to death, but he's as frustrating as hell because he's got a brain injury, so he never remembers anything.
Oh God!
So we're constantly reminding him of stuff.
Have you been here before? This is not your first time.
But he's a great guy. And then there's another guy, unfortunately, who doesn't go anymore. I see him. We meet up for a coffee on Wednesday, so I'm meeting him and Darren. Just great guys, and there's plenty of others there there's a couple that I really don't get on with as well. But
well, that's like anywhere.
That's going to happen anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't turn into Fight Club at all, does it? No,
yeah, it can't be helped.
First rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Andy's Man Club. That's what it is.
Well, that's it. You can't talk about it outside the.
Well, yeah.
Officially, you can't.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. It's people's mental issues.
Of
mental
course,
health issues
it's
things
their
that
own
affect them,
personal thing. And because I remember when I first went, my very first night, a couple of the stories I heard were just horrific.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I felt like a bit of a fraud. And then weirdly, one of the guys who'd been through something absolutely horrendous said it's not a competition.
Yeah, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe on the surface what happened to me is worse than what happened to you. But what happened to you, and it's your feelings, and it's your memory, and it's your experience. It doesn't matter that it's different to mine. It's not a competition. I thought that's bang on.
Yeah, well, the worst thing you've ever been through is the worst thing you've ever been through. Do you know what I mean? That just varies per person to person. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah. I might come to one of these meetings and just meet a few people. And
it's
stuff
worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good club.
Yeah, so I'm just curious with everything that you do with the photography side. Do you think you keep doing this as a way to aid your mental health as well? Does it help you to do that?
God, yeah. Massively. Funnily enough, one of the questions last week was, what have you done in the last year that's helped your mental health? And with me, it's always photography. My weight ballooned. I've always been a big lad, but my weight ballooned during the first lockdown.
I think you're in about half the country as well, mate.
Yeah. Well, you basically sat on the settee, watched Netflix and ate. That was basically all I did. And I keep bringing this up to my friends, but I didn't leave the house for 83 days. Now, I look back at that and I have no idea how I did it. If I'm not out of the house every couple of days,
go mental, yeah.
I go insane. So how the hell I did 83 days, I've no idea. But obviously when COVID started, we didn't really know what it was.
No, everyone was scared of everyone else, weren't they? Yeah.
I've got diabetes, I've got heart issues. I thought, if I catch this, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, touch wood, I've still never caught it. So anyway, by the by. So I ballooned up to over 26 stone. I was at the size that people that make documentaries about who can't get out the front door. Yeah. So I was huge, and my doctor basically said, Chris, you've had one heart attack. If you don't sort this out, you're going to have another one. You might not survive the next one.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. So I started going for a walk, literally just from where I live to the park, which is not even a 5-minute walk. And back at that time, sort of 1,500 steps was a lot. It wore me out, and I was knackered and out of breath. And when I started going back out on the streets to do street photography, once things cleared up a bit, I walk a lot now. Hurts my knees, hurts my back, and usually wears me out. So I tend not to do things every day.
Yeah.
So I'll do a street day, and then I'll have a day off, and then I'll do a street day off, then a model shoot, whatever.
Yeah.
A portrait shoot.
It sounds like a smart plan. Yeah.
So it works. And now I'm regularly doing 7,800 to 10,000 when I go out. So the weights, I've lost over 5 stone.
Nice one, mate. Yeah.
Which obviously I'm really pleased about. I've still got a long way to go. I still want to lose it. I'd like to lose another 5 stone, but it takes time. I'm not rushing it. I'm certainly not dieting. I'm just.
You can't out-train a bad diet, mate. I've
got a terrible diet. Considering I'm diabetic, I really shouldn't eat stuff that I do eat. But at the same time as well, I'm kind of like, I want to enjoy my life.
Mm-hmm. It's just it's a balance in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I don't want to eat lettuce for the rest of my life.
My sin is Cinnabons.
I've never been to that place.
Go, unbelievable.
I mean, the queues when it first opened were insane.
Yeah. We drove down to we've been to the one in Manchester, Leeds. I think there's 2 in Leeds. I think there's like a drive-through one. I was like, oh my god. But my obsession came from the TV show Better Call Saul. I don't know.
I know it.
Yeah. So basically, in that he makes Cinnabons.
It's an American company, isn't it?
Yeah. It's American, just big, like a bakery chain. And I just the way they looked, they were frosting them on. I was like, you know what? Can you get them here? And they did one in the South Shields Asda across there. And then they shut it down because it wasn't making enough money. And they moved one into the centre of Newcastle. I'm like, yes. Well, so I have to get one.
I mean, for weeks I've been like, what's so special about this place? Because the queues, I mean, they've stopped now, but for literally 3-4 weeks, there was just queues outside. And when it first opened, the queues were enormous.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell's going on? It's a bun.
It's not just a bun.
Explain it to me, because I have no idea what bun is.
It's just delicious. It's just life, just better with frosting, man. I mean, they're massive. Bear in mind, they're like 1,000 calories per thing.
As I pointed out to you, I don't work in porn anymore, so I don't see the frosting.
Not that kind of frosting. But they're just so good. They're massive for starters. But I think just a nice warm, the cinnamon, especially this time of year. It's comfort. It's nice. They're very filling. But I think I don't know whether it's just me because I watched the show and I saw them make it and it cemented in my head. But it's basically just a big dough wrap.
What's it taste of?
Cinnamon. Do you like the taste of cinnamon?
I can do that, yeah.
The frosting, I don't know what the frosting's like, but it's unbelievably good. It's definitely not good for you, but I don't care when I eat cinnamon.
Well, I'll promise I will give it a go.
Next time you're on a portrait shoot, afterwards, instead of having a cup of tea, actually, tell you what, have a cup of tea and a Cinnabon. That'll do you good.
But if I get addicted, I'm blaming you, all right?
Do it, mate. We'll go for them together.
I bet they're really expensive, aren't they?
Not as expensive as you'd think. I think you can get like 4 for like a tenner or something like that. Maybe
okay.
You can get mini ones as well if you're not feeling up to it. You can get mini ones as well.
Obviously, I only eat the mini ones. Look at me. I mean, you know.
Well, it depends how many mini ones you get. I mean, to be fair, the mini ones are like say like that big. Maybe the bigger ones are about that big. So there's like 4 times the size.
I'll be buying a big one. Obviously.
Unbelievable. Enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it.
Actually, I better start with a small one because I don't like it.
Just work your way up, yeah. In case you.
I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off.
It's fine, mate. It happens. If you want, mate, next time you want to shoot, I'm in Newcastle. I'll come along and I'll buy you a Cinnabon. How about that? Yeah?
I'm taking you up on that, definitely.
Yes, deal, mate. Absolutely deal.
Everybody always gets me at free food, so yeah, I'll be there.
So we'll have a happy meal and a Cinnabon. Good, sweet. So if anyone sees Chris out in Newcastle, buy him a Cinnabon. Or a happy meal. I'll be happy as Larry.
Happy either way.
Yeah. So Chris, mate, what can we expect from you moving forward? Are you staying in the industry for a while? The photography, but not photography side of the industry.
I'm not in the industry.
No, are you still taking photos for a while? Like, are you want?
I don't think anything's ever going to change.
Are you going to want to push anything new? Or
I can't see that happening. My passion is people. Mm-hmm. Although, as we all know, people can be incredibly annoying.
Yep.
I also love them. They're the most interesting things to photograph. So whether that's street photography or portrait photography, I did think for a while that I was my portrait shoots were going down and down and down the amount I was shooting each year. Mm-hmm. And then last year I had another massive year where I shot a lot. Probably not quite as much this year. But I enjoy, as I said before, I enjoy the whole process, and it's good. I've actually met some people now. Normally, I mean, I'm in my 60s now. Normally, guys in their 60s and girls in their early 20s are not mates. Mm-hmm. But I've got some genuine friends out of some of those people. Yeah. It's a different relationship. I don't go drinking with them and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But they're friends.
Yeah.
You know, we'll meet for a cup of tea and not necessarily coffee, and not necessarily because we're shooting. We'll just, I'm in town, do you fancy a coffee? Yeah. You know, and I think I can relate to them quite easily because, well, I've got a son who's 27, 28 coming up. So, you know, and I used to be that age myself once. So
Really?
yeah,
That's
believe it
interesting.
or not.
You never told me that this whole interview. I never would have thought that.
So I think I can relate to them. I try and keep up with bands and stuff and music and all that stuff. So and most of them, to be honest with you, are rock fans. So and that's
You get on well.
Yeah. So,
exactly.
but yeah, I don't go out with them or anything. It's not like that. But I would class them as friends, definitely.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Well,
Yeah.
you've definitely built one hell of a reputation. Like I said, I'd seen your name way before I'd even met you or knew exactly who you were. But
I think it's mostly because I'm prolific, not because I'm particularly brilliant. I think I'm a okay photographer. Sometimes I'm really good. Sometimes I'm excellent. But I'm happy. I wish I was better, but I think all of us want to be better at whatever we do.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm all right. And every so often I take a really, really good photograph.
Nice,
So I'm
man.
all right with that.
I love your work. I've seen so
Thank
much of
you.
it. I've had a scroll and I went through and I was like, you know what? You can get lost in your Instagram because it's interesting. It's not just one thing. It's a bit of everything.
You get a lot more lost on my website. There's like 50,000 pictures in there.
Nice. We'll go and have a look at
It's
that.
a rabbit
Did you
hole.
know there's actually another famous photographer called Chris Harrison?
Yeah,
who has
from
a Wiki
Brighton.
page? Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it said UK based. I was like, this must be him. I was like, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Chris never told me he had a Wikipedia page.
The first time I saw his work, it came up on Twitter. And it's Chris Harrison. And I'm looking at his picture. I think, I didn't take that. And then I digged a bit deeper and he's from Brighton, yeah. Very good photographer. I saw an interview with him on YouTube recently, actually. I was like, that's definitely not me.
Well, this one's going to overtake. I think he's got like short grey hair with glasses, I think, as well.
Yeah, he's probably a bit younger than me, but he's a very good photographer.
You've got a cooler look, mate. I don't care.
But I love it because I like a lot of his stuff. So I wonder if he ever sees that and goes, why have I liked my own picture?
I always like my own stuff on Instagram. Self-love, you know. I give it a double tap.
Although he's never liked any of mine.
What a dick. Fuck him. So, Chris, where can people follow you? Where's the best place to find contact you?
I mean, obviously Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I post the same pictures on there every single day on each of those formats, platforms. But my website's where all the stuff is. But you need get yourself a cup of tea or a glass of wine. Sit down because it's going to take a long time to go through. So I just basically wanted somewhere where everything was. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a bit of a backup as well in case anything goes wrong.
It's your legacy as well, isn't it? It's what you're going to...
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm hoping my son will look after it when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because especially with the street photography, what I always say about street photography is a lot of my pictures now don't mean much. But in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time, when I'm not around... if somebody's looking out, they're going to be worth something because of the fashions. Whatever buildings are not there anymore, or new buildings in the background, or why is everybody wearing a mask on that picture? Oh, that's right. It was that
COVID
pandemic, wasn't
existed,
it? Yeah, exactly. Wow, look how many people smoke. Nobody does that now. That sort of thing.
Vape sticks, what are they?
Yeah, exactly. So, because I really believe that at some point in the next 20 years, because it's been around long enough, people are going to realise that vaping's probably worse for you than smoking.
It seems to be just as bad. Exactly.
Yeah, what really puzzles me is the people who vape who never smoked.
Yeah, my mate's like that.
What the fuck is that about?
I'm just like, stop using my Xbox to charge your fucking death stick. Get out. Like, just because there's a USB port doesn't mean you have to just start sticking things in it. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, he used to come around and he'd be like, oh mate, I'll stick Halo on. He's like, 2 minutes. Let me just plug in my USB into the back of your Xbox and charge me vape. I'm like, get that blueberry scented shit out of my face. Like, get out.
The smells are awful.
Some of them can be alright, but I'm like, I don't want to smell that. People do it on the bus. When I used to get the bus for out of car and stuff, I'd smell them like, you're not supposed to do this on a bus. It's not smoking, but it still stinks.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's
horrible.
Anyway, Chris, what's your Instagram handle? Is it at Chris Harrison Photog?
You know what? I'm going to have to check it. I do this all the time.
It's alright.
Completely forget. Sorry.
I think I'll be putting it on the bottom of the screen anyway and stuff.
Determined to knock this microphone over.
It's alright. The amount of times I bang the microphone and everything as well.
So my Instagram, which is probably the best place to follow me, is... You think I should remember this, shouldn't you? So it's Chris Harrison Photog. That's PHOTOG as in photographer. Mm-hmm. My Twitter, I think, is pretty much the same.
Do you not mean your ex?
Sorry, my ex. Yeah, nobody calls it that.
No one's gonna call it that, are they? It's like I still call it the Metro Radio Arena in Newcastle. You know what I mean? I'm like, utility arena. What's that shit?
Chris Harry Photo.
Nice.
I should really have made them all the same, shouldn't I? But there's that Dick Chris Harrison from Brighton, who probably
He stole them first.
And then, most importantly, my website, which, as I say, where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go to. I should be more professional and actually remember all
It's
this.
cool. I did just drop that on you.
So this one's easy. It's chrisharrisonphoto.co.uk.
That one's easy.
And there's first page. There's a big menu on there, and as I say, you'll get completely lost in it.
Nice.
There's a lot of stuff on there.
So grab yourself a drink, go to the website, and enjoy Chris's legacy. Amazing, mate. Well, thank you so much for your time today, mate. I really appreciate you coming down.
Very importantly, one last
Go
thing.
for it.
Sorry,
Go for it.
because I get asked this a lot.
Okay.
There's on the model section. There's a section called Grime and Glamour,
Mm-hmm.
which is the booby stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people always want to see the booby stuff. The password is the name of the folder.
Interesting. So is this insider information?
Yes. All lowercase, one word. If you can't work it out from that, you don't deserve to see boobies.
You don't deserve titties. You don't deserve titties. Right, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. If you want to follow Chris, the links are on the screen below, and I will put them in the description of the video as well. And as always, please, like I said before, leave us a 5-star review. None of this 4-star bullshit, especially if you listen on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And give us a like and a share if you're on Facebook. YouTube. See, I have to say it at the end of the video. It's just one of the things. But thanks for listening, guys, and I will see you in the very next episode.
Thanks for inviting me.